I'm going to talk you through my track Dreamstate. Well, let's start with the drums. So I made them in the box. The basic groove was made here using Echonomist audio. This is basically a sequencer and a sample organizer that just works absolutely beautifully. This could be a video in itself, but I'm using this to make most of my in-the-box drums. If I feel like playing something in with a mouse, I use this. If I feel like tapping something in, I use some kind of sampler. I've then added on 2 loops. This is a sample from a real record. You can see it's just the intro. And this is basically playing with the toms that I made in Echonomist. I then have this element here, which I've called the trip synth, which is probably the most important element of the track. I'll turn up a bit. This started off again in Excellent Audio. So I had this kind of glitchy sound that I made in a separate instance of Excellent. So I exported the sound. I ran it through this very, very basic chain that actually was something I created for something else, which is called a filter pumper. That's an Ableton preset, and I've added on a phase mistress from Sound Toys. Just to give it a bit of phasing, a bit of movement. This is not the main effect that you hear. The magic actually came when I added on this delay from Echo Boy, and what I've done is I've mapped the feedback of the delay, and I believe I added the mix of the delay. I mapped it to a MIDI controller, not this one. That's the one I had here when I made it. So I can control it here, and it will control what happens there. And I actually played it in, playing with the delay, which made the various length of effects. So listen back. And I played the groove, and I literally just recorded it in the MIDI. And so it's not perfectly syncopated, you know. So it's not like every 8 bars. It'll be like every 9, every 11. So it doesn't just feel like a loop. I remember I had this groove and this trippy element for ages because I knew it could be something really clubby, it could be something really trippy, and I'm pretty sure I made this and I left it. I came back and added the melodics later. Don't really remember, but that's I have half a memory there. I might have left it and gone and got a coffee. I might have left it and worked on it 6 months later. I just know that there was a pause at that point in time. I had this vocal in first. My dream, my dream, my dream. So my dream, that started as a hook. And what I did is I went to a text-to-speech and I just wrote some stuff in to respond.
My dream, dream, my dream, dream, my dream.
And it's quite interesting, like when you do the text-to-speech and you write the same word a few times, it gives you a slightly different delivery. The first layer is just literally that, dream, dream. And then I went into Little Alter Boy from Sound Toys, which is a really cool kind of pitch manipulation plugin where you can change the pitch of sound sources. So the pitch dial changes the pitch. And the format actually time stretches it, so it sounds like the pitch is changing. So what I did is, again, I just recorded in me jamming like this. And what's happening is the pitch isn't actually changing, so it's still in key. It just gives the illusion that it is. You get a lot of happy accidents. As you can imagine, the Little Alter Boy creates a lot of latency. So what I did is I just recorded it in, and it naturally ended up responding to itself, you know? So I had the raw version playing and the Little Alter Boy, like pitch edited version playing. And I let the Little Alter Boy respond to the lead vocal. And I automated the pitch so that it actually played the chord structure of the track. So then... Dream, 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 dream. The chords, I did in the box. You know, normally I'm like quite big on like analog stuff and hardware, but I did this in this room in the box, and I used something I don't usually use very often these days. I used Spectrasonics Omnisphere, which is a huge sound bank of just kind of crazy sounds that are very cinematic, lots of reverb, and usually a little bit too crazy to actually get them into songs, you know. That was the pad. The keys, let's find the keys. This is a kind of twisted piano that I found in there. And what I would have done is put the arpeggiator on and just played chords. So I have the chords playing on this really trippy arp. And then I just duplicated this and I cycled through some presets until I found this kind of boys choir thing. This is not a typical workflow for me, so it's actually created like some quite interesting results. I normally don't like cycling through presets, but I guess I was in this headspace. You can see in pretty much all of my tracks, I work in audio because I'm just used to working with hardware. All the hardware gets made in MIDI. I then record everything out, and then I'm working in audio in the box. And because I'm used to this workflow, I just end up recording everything. I don't know if you're going to see this or not. Just a basic square wave sound. And I recorded myself playing with the decay and the release. As I said, this track is mostly just these two chords, but in the break it does expand into a 4-chord structure. So what I did to have it differentiate from the two versions is the first time it just plays the 4 chords in here. And these aren't quite typical chords, you know, as well. Like, I'll let you observe the MIDI, and the music theorists can explain what I'm doing better than I can. Then I automated on a what Ableton calls random MIDI generator, which just gives you a few more notes within a certain scale. It's mainly playing octaves. And then what I've done is I've shoved this on, which keeps everything playing in C minor in the key of the track. Even though I'm playing C major, who knows? So because this is using like a random generator, every time I play this through, it plays something slightly different. Normally, me being a control freak, what I would do at this point is record out the MIDI so it's consistent, but I didn't in this track, just looking at it. I just recorded. It seems like I've done a lot of like quite complex productions, but it seems like I made everything very quickly, looking back in this. The chops. I gotta talk about those chops. Right, so the vocal chops that play on the drop. I'm going to start with the one that plays at the end, because that's actually the most complicated one. So I've got the sample on the Ableton sampler. I'm triggering with a MIDI keyboard that's just under the desk. And I've put it on. And I've just put it on an arpeggiator. So it plays these little chops. Then I learned this trick on YouTube. You've got on the modulator, I've triggered LFO2 on Ableton's sampler to affect the sample offset, which is basically the start point of the track. So what's happening is in a 16th rhythm with the LFO, this is moving. So if I was to do it manually, basically what's going on is. So I did that, totally random. I obviously selected my section and I recorded it out and chopped it up. So here we go. Bit of reverb. Only plays at the end of the track. Much more simple, just 16th of fun points I like. I would have done this by I'm just playing it and just cycling through to spot, to wait the spot, trial and error, jamming. What I usually do is at this point, I will take everything, put it all in a very, very messy Ableton folder, and I will work away from the computer, often on laptop speakers, and just arrange and build the story and the narrative. So yeah, that's the track. I had a lot of fun making it. Essentially, this is just an idea of like it's quite nuts of production actually, but it's just a few ideas that I just threw together until they made sense. Normally when I'm making music, I always try stuff like this, and normally the simple ideas are the ones that click, but not this time. So yeah, that's a tune.